Hello friends, welcome back to another video, or if you are new here, welcome. Either way, I am so glad that you're here. I know that this video is not my typical Friday videos that I like to post, but I've been wanting to switch things up here recently, so that is what I'm going to do. I also like to add videos like this ever so often, just as a reminder to slow down, take pause, and just enjoy the stage of life that you're currently in. I like to come out to the garden either first thing in the morning or when it starts to cool down in the evening, usually after dinner time. Our yard is full sun most of the day and it just beats down on you. So I like to come out and give the garden a really good water before the sun comes out and really starts shining all over the garden. When I started my garden a little while back, I basically had all the normal things that I usually have in a garden. I think I just added a little bit more of everything. So like the tomatoes, the cucumbers, the peppers, I added more of it this year. I've also added a couple of newer things that I'm not quite the greatest at growing yet. I am not the greatest gardener, but I do like to every year try something new and try to kind of better my gardening skills, and I'm just very much learning along the way. One thing that I started learning was okra. I randomly got some seeds from the farmer's market last year, and it was kind of later in season. However, it really took off last year without me really having to do much, so I still don't know very much about it, and I'm not sure if I've started it at like earlier this year and that's why I'm having issues. There are bugs on it now that I have never seen before. It almost reminds me of super tiny ants, but they like have eggs or something. So I'm not really sure. It is something that I have been trying to kind of keep under control. But if you have any ideas or remedies for that, that would be great. So back before we moved here, I used to have zucchini and they did very, very well. I never really had issues with them. And then when we moved here, I have never been able to grow zucchini. So I finally at least figured it out this year, and I have kept the pests under control, and we finally have some zucchini. The garden is doing really well, and I am one of those people that I like to kind of start small and add as I go. So I have been picking up random plants, ones that are usually not looking so great at Walmart, and I'll bring them into the garden and try to bring them back to life. So I've added some bell peppers, some cherry tomatoes, different things like that that I'm hoping to kind of bring back to life and get some vegetables from. So this is actually the same morning. This is just a couple minutes later, but I managed to get water all over my pants when I was watering the garden. So I came in and changed real quick, and now I'm going to start some, I think I called it like chocolate braid. I've made this several times on my channel. Sometimes I refer to it as like a babka, but this is a sourdough recipe. And you know, I had a follower that didn't usually use sourdough, and I want to say that she used yeast, and I believe it turned out. So if you are not a sourdough person, you can also do yeast apparently. But I will have the recipe for this down below in the description box if you're wanting to make it for yourself. This is one of my family's favorite treats. We have it basically all year long, and you can really add so much variety to this. You can add like fruit and jams, stuff like that. I usually will do a chocolate one because that is my kids' absolute favorite, but this time I did one chocolate one and one cinnamon one, and then I topped the cinnamon one with a frosting, like an icing, and it was so good. While the dough is rising, I had it outside with the boys so they could swim. It has went from like early spring temperatures to midsummer overnight. It is so hot here, and it feels like it happened like super quick, like overnight basically. So most of our days we like to hang out by the pool. I'm trying to do kind of minimal cooking and baking, and we do a lot of our stuff on the grill, so I'm not heating up the kitchen. We have also been spending our afternoons where we take like paint and snacks and stuff out by the pool, and we will paint out there, do some projects, have snacks, and kind of like a Lunchable type of thing outside by the pool, and that way we can get in, cool off, and kind of just have our nice lazy afternoon outside, and it has been really wonderful. Before the sun starts beating down on the back patio, I'm going to get some sweeping done. The sun just in the afternoon, it beats down on our back patio, and it makes it impossible to walk on if you're not wearing shoes. So I'm going to sweep over here pretty quickly and get it all cleaned up, so then I can kind of sit down and read for a little bit while the boys swim. So for the last week or two, I have been slowly working on tidying up different areas around the house. I've kind of been just working on one area a day and really focusing on it, getting it really clean. And then we've also worked on small various house projects. We usually host for the 4th of July. Our house is on a golf course, and the golf course is where the town lights off fireworks. So it's become kind of the gathering spot for 4th of July. We usually will have friends over and we grill out, and then we have a bunch of people that will swim, and then we'll head up to the golf course, and we kind of have like our own little private area where we can watch fireworks whenever they start lighting those off. So I have been slowly working on tidying up to kind of get ready for that. We also refer to the week of 4th of July as birthday week because it is my birthday on the 1st of July, and then my daughter's birthday is on the 2nd of July. And so it kind of seems like if we don't start tidying up and doing it slowly, either I'm going to have to be cleaning on her birthday or my birthday, just trying to get ready for the 4th of July, because we usually do expect quite a bit of people. I know this year we are expecting about 45 guests, so it's going to be a little bit bigger, and I'm wanting to get some of the tidying done ahead of time so I'm not spending my birthday or my daughter's birthday working on it. At this point, I've about had enough of sitting in the heat, so I got in the pool and swam with the boys. I love seeing how every summer their progression has gotten better with swimming in the pool. Theo is still working on swimming. Sometimes you'll see him without his little floaties, but then other times where he is not feeling as brave, he'll put the floaties back on. So he is slowly getting better and learning, and it's just wonderful to watch. Lincoln has been huge with underwater swimming this year. He has started his cannonballs and all that fun stuff. So every day kind of seems like a new trick that he's learning and showing us in the pool. All 4 kids are having some downtime. They're having popcorn and watching a movie, so I figured I would come in the kitchen and start some dinner. But first I'm going to get this dough rolled out and ready to go in the pan so it can have a second rise before I put it in the oven. For the first loaf, I'm going to be doing a cinnamon loaf. So I put down some brown sugar and then I'm adding a cinnamon sugar mixture over top of it, and then I will roll it up and cut it and then kind of braid it before I put it into a bread loaf pan. You can also lay it on a cookie sheet, but I feel like it holds up a little better in a bread loaf pan. So that is what I'll be doing. Now this dough I actually also use for sourdough cinnamon rolls. So you could absolutely just roll it out a little thinner than what I have here, because this is kind of rolled out pretty thick. But you could roll it out thinner and then spread the mixture over top and then cut it and roll it into cinnamon rolls instead if you prefer to do that. This next loaf is a chocolate loaf, so I make a mixture of melted butter, cocoa powder, and sugar in this bowl, and then I spread it over top of the dough, and then I add chocolate chips. Now I was not thinking until after I had this completely baked and everything that this cocoa powder mixture actually usually does both of the doughs, so both of the loaves. And it was way chocolatey. So if you are doing this, I suggest just doing half of the mixture on here and then adding the chocolate chips, because unless you're wanting it as like a dessert, because it definitely doubles as that at my house. Most of the time my kids will eat this for dessert, but I added almost the entire bowl and it was super chocolatey, like a cake. So if you are doing this, it's only supposed to be half of it. But you know what, to each their own. So if you like it super chocolatey, then by all means add the whole thing. So I'm rolling this up and then I will pinch the ends together and then also kind of pinch the seam closed also, and then I will cut it on the top side. So seam side down, I will then cut the top side and just right down the middle like I did the cinnamon loaf. I'll give it a quick braid and then I will put it in a parchment lined baking dish and bake it until it is completely cooked through. If you are baking it like I am doing, then I do suggest rolling it the short ways instead of the long ways. It has been a while since I made these and I completely forgot I needed to actually roll it the opposite way. So they are longer ways, but it ends up working out. You kind of just maneuver it in there and make sure that it is pretty even throughout the pan and it bakes into a loaf just like it were if you were to cut it the other way. But it is a little easier if you roll it the short way. Here's how both the loaves turned out. I am going to be doing just a powdered sugar sprinkle on the chocolate one, and then I'll do a icing glaze on the cinnamon one. So that one is more like a cinnamon roll. And then you can do that icing on top of the chocolate one, but my kids, they always prefer the powdered sugar on the chocolate one, so that's what I did. I'm going to go ahead and start dinner, and like I said, we usually spend the summer cooking most of our meals on the grill. We will also batch cook and cook like a whole bunch of chicken and then use it in a variety of different dishes. However, I already have the oven going, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw in a really simple and easy dish that my family, my kids, they just love, and I feel like it's really hard to not like tater tot casserole. So, I mean, it's filled with all the great creaminess and cheesiness and tater tots, so really, what's not to love? I feel like as I'm watching this back, it also seems like I did a ton of onions in this dish, which it is more than normal. However, I did double this dish because I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of leftovers. My husband, he likes to bring leftovers to work, and then also we're home during the day, and if I can get out of making lunch, I will definitely do whatever I can to do that. So I wanted to ensure that we had plenty of leftovers. So I added 2 pounds of ground beef. A lot of times I'll also do like a ground turkey in that. My kids don't usually notice that it is any different if I mix it with something, or if it's like a taco, like and I'm using like taco seasoning, they never notice. So I usually will do like a ground turkey meat with that. But anyway, I just used all beef and then onions, and I'm going to be separating it into 2 dishes. You will see that I have a much smaller casserole dish for one, and then I'll be adding the rest to a larger casserole dish. My daughter has suddenly decided that she does not like mushrooms of any kind, so instead of making her eat around them, I just kind of took out a little portion of the mixture, put it in a baking dish, and then I added the mushrooms to the larger portion, which the rest of the family will be eating. So she will have some with no mushrooms like she likes, and the rest of the family will have mushrooms in theirs like we all enjoy. And I know tater tot casserole can be made in so many different ways. This is kind of the recipe that we started making when we moved down here. We are from the Chicago area, and it's kind of basically unheard of up there, or at least amongst our friends and stuff. So I started making it down here. My aunt gave me this recipe, and I know a lot of people will put like green beans or carrots or peas maybe. I don't know if anybody's used peas, but broccoli. So I will sometimes add vegetables into ours, but a lot of times my family likes just the vegetables steamed on the side. So I will a lot of times leave the vegetables out, and then I'll just include them steamed on the side. And that's what I did here. I do always usually have those big packs of mushrooms from Sam's Club. My family loves those aside from my daughter. So I wanted to go ahead and use that in this because I was also using a couple cans of cream of mushroom soup, so I felt like it really went with the mushroom chunks too. If you're watching this and wondering why I am using a spoon to scoop tater tots, that is a wonderful question. I have no idea why that was my utensil of choice, because I really just, I don't even know. And I did decide through this, through topping my daughters, that I'm like, this is weird. Why would I even have chose that? So I did end up switching, and it was a lot easier, but I don't know, I was like laughing at myself watching myself try to scoop tater tots with a spoon. I don't know. It's the heat, maybe. The heat's getting to me, and I'm making some weird choices, I guess. I do know one of the ways to make tater tot casserole, because I have a family member that does this, is they're just taking frozen, I think, tater tots and adding them to the casserole. And they're more like a potato, I guess. I always bake mine beforehand and get them really nice and crispy before I add them to the top. I feel like it's just a lot better of a texture that way, and that's how my family enjoys it. But I know that it is done other ways too, and like I said, this dish is so versatile, so many different ways it can be made. And for the topping, this definitely does not have to be added, but I wanted kind of a little kick. I wish I could tell you what seasoning this was, but we have a family friend that always mixes seasonings and stuff for us, and he's always giving us different seasonings that he's made, and so I don't even know half the time what's in some of them. It is kind of like a Cajun seasoning, so it added a little bit of a spice, a little bit of a kick, but nothing too overwhelming. Okay, so we are moving on to a really small project that I've been wanting to work on for quite a while, and I'm going to start off by telling you that I actually don't finish this entirely, and you will see that at the very end of this video. So I got this fake plant probably 3 years ago on like Temu, and it was very cheap, and I'm shocked at how well it has held up. We have a ton of wind in our back, and I had every intention of bringing it in like the winter and stuff. However, it has been out for about 3 years in all of the seasons with all of the weather and the wind, and it has held up shockingly well for a Temu item that I got 3 years ago. So anyway, it has started to kind of get faded from the sun, and it's showing its age a little. So I actually came across a cute little thing online where they had kind of a similar thing, and they spray painted it a candy pink, and it was just the cutest thing. And I love bright colors and stuff by our pool, so I figured, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give this a little facelift and spray paint it a fun color. It actually looks really white on camera, but it's like a light pink, like a candy pink, I think is actually what it's called. But anyway, so I'm spray painting it, which again, it's from Temu, and so if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be crushed. I never expected it to last this long. So I'm kind of just going with it at this point. However, the leaves are kind of made out of like a fabric-y material, and I did not realize how much spray paint I was actually going to need. So I ended up using 2 cans of spray paint and then running out, and I'm just kind of over the project. I do plan on finishing it probably within this next week. I'm going to go to the store and get more spray paint this weekend, but I was shocked at how much I actually went through. So I'm not positive if I'm going to leave it this color. I might try to just finish it out in this candy pink and have it completely filled out and see how much I like it. If not, I might try a different color. But yeah, it's an easy DIY project with hard, very, very cheap, and just kind of touching up something that I've had for a while. I did not want to do a real plant because it is on like the concrete slab out back, so it's not anything that can really like grow into the ground. But it was kind of nice to not have another thing to take care of, so that is ultimately why I ended up getting this fake plant. But you'll see it is kind of faded looking because I just did not have enough paint. I went ahead and I put it all back just so that the leaves and stuff weren't flying around the yard and getting lost. But I do plan on finishing this, like I said, within the next week. I might end up showing you once I have it completely done. And then if I don't end up liking it, it's something that I can always change, and I love projects like that. Something that is so cheap and that you're using your own stuff for. It's just that those will always be a favorite of mine. But anyway, here is the finished for now product, and like I said, I'm going to continue to work on it. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending a slow summer day with us. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!